Alright, so I figure that while I'm waiting for the internet to come back, I'm going to try and see what I can do with this iMac G3. Now, of course, when I turn it on, it's probably going to just work fine, especially now that the camera's pointed at it, but you can see there, it worked just fine, but the hard drive has got a couple of problems. The power supply is what will kill you, not the CRT monitor, despite claims to the contrary. A flyback packs a pretty damn good punch, but it's low current. It's not enough to kill you. It's high frequency, high voltage, but it's not high current. It is very low current, in fact, because it's high voltage. But to put it bluntly, it'll hurt like hell. Been there, done that. And please don't ask about that. So don't touch anything having to do with the CRT. Don't touch anything having to do with the power supply, and your life will be a whole lot easier. That being said, let's get this thing out of here so we can start taking a look at what you need to do. Alright, so as you can see, I've actually laid out a cloth so I could put the iMac down on the cloth. Now, this is done so that I do not scratch the monitor, because it would do you absolutely no good to scratch your monitor. So heed my advice and don't do that. Alright, found my screwdriver. So we will remove the two screws that we can see. You'll probably think, well, that was really easy. Well, I'm here to tell you that things are not quite as easy as you might think they are, because Apple tried to hide something from you. You see, there's a little cover here. There's also a cover here if you're keeping score. This one is for the memory. This one is for what you would think would be a VGA port. In fact, some of these actually do in fact have a VGA port. This is not one of them. However, if we take this off, see that there is 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and you need to take these out as well. It will not do you any good to forget about this cover and forget to take those screws out, because you will break this plastic. It's brittle, and, well, I think you get the idea. You can see there are already cracks in the plastic here because it's just brittle. At least I think those are cracks in the plastic. Maybe it's designed that way, but that seems kind of odd to design it in such a way that those cracks are visible. Now, you'll also notice that this is one size, and if we take this one out here, these might have been put in a little bit too tight. And that's another size. Make note of where these screws go, because it will not do you any good to put the wrong size screw in. In fact, it will actually be really bad. And I would appreciate that if you see the mess in the background, because there is a mess in the background, that you don't comment about it, because I am aware that it's there. And I'm probably going to take the time here at some point to clean it up. Now what we can do is we can lift this off. Now, you're going to need to lift the machine up a little bit. Again, be careful. This is a CRT monitor right here. I would not touch this if I were you. I don't think you'll get hurt by touching this thing right here. But if you slip and touch something else that's around it, well, there you go. In fact, I wouldn't really touch this anyways because I wouldn't trust it. You'll notice that once we take that off, this is what we see. This thing right here is called an EMI shield. You can see the hard drive now, and actually the optical drive too. And the memory. The memory is easily replaceable, but we need to take off this shield in order to replace the hard drive. So, how are we going to do that? Well, there are 6 screws around the perimeter. There's 2 here, 2 around there, and then 2 here to take this shield off. It will do you no good to lose these screws in the nether regions. In fact, I'm going to stop the video now, because if you lose those screws in the nether regions of the system, you could short something out, you could not be able to put this back together, you could do all kinds of things, and you don't want to do any of those. So, heed my advice, and again, don't do that. Alright, and once you remove all those screws, this, with a little bit of care, or maybe not, well, that was annoying, but I did manage to get it out of there. So again, here's our hard drive. You will want to note how it is jumpered, because it would do you no good to put the whole computer back together and find that you jumpered the drive wrong, and then your system doesn't boot, because it will not boot if you do that. So again, here's the current theme, here's the common theme. Heed my advice and don't do that. So let's see here. There are 4 screws you need to remove, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they go on the bottom of the drive itself. Now you want to remove these connectors while the drive is screwed into place, because it's just easier to do that. This one can get out of the way. Again, don't touch the power supply, because these will kill you. This area here, all of this stuff, in fact, it will kill you, so don't do that. I should probably keep a don't do that counter for this particular video. It will also, oh yes, I should probably point out that you need to remove the memory modules in order to do this. I don't know why, you just do. They're in the way. Again, being careful of the power supply. You could just pop the sticks out carefully, like so, and then you could put these somewhere else. I'll put them over by the EMI shield, and then this has got free reign, so you can move it out of the way, and then we can take our drive out. And I'm going to get the new drive, because that's important. Well, at least the package is somewhat accurate. But this is definitely not an 80GB drive, and is also definitely not SATA 3. This is an IDE drive, just like the one that I'm pulling out. It is also the same size in that it is 20 gigabytes. Yeah, 20 gigabytes. Once you have done the final screw, the drive can simply pop out. And again, you can see that you need that extra space. This is the drive that we are pulling out of this. 20 gigabyte Maxtor. From a compact computer. And then the new, because this has got an anti-static shield on the bottom of it, I can grab the drive like this. And have no problem doing so. Although I definitely would not count on that. Again, we gotta make sure that the drive is jumpered in the proper way. I believe this one is jumpered for master operation. Alright, so once your drive is in place, you can then put these cables back in. And you should also put your RAM in at this point, because you do not want to forget to put your RAM back in. Been there, done that. And I can tell you right now, it will do you no good. So heed my advice, and don't do that. You will also have noticed that I replaced my clock battery at some point. So I won't need to worry about resetting the date and time on this thing. Should also check and see if I can get one for the other iMac that I've got, but I don't know if I'll do that because I don't have anywhere to put the other iMac. So let me put the RAM in, and I'm going to put the EMI shield back on. It's basically, everything is exactly the reverse process. You've got to continue to be careful, of course, however. Ouch. Well, let me tell you, I just touched something in the power supply that I shouldn't have. That freaking hurt. Wow. I'm still feeling it. It's kind of tingly, actually. Huh. Well, anyways, I'm still alive, so I guess there's one thing. But I would, again, recommend that you don't touch anything in this area. I hit something with a screwdriver, so I think it was actually one of these inductors over here that I accidentally touched. Not with the screwdriver. Actually, I did touch it with the screwdriver, but I was holding the metal end. Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't know what else to say. That's just, you know, should heed my own advice and not do that. Wow. Now, would you look at that? It's clean. Alright, let's fire it up and check our handiwork. Much quieter. Now the screen comes on and it asks me for installation media, or at least a system folder. So let me see if I can get out my OS 9 disk, and we will try and install it to the hard drive. Alright, so let's take our totally legitimate OS 9 disk. And insert that and try and boot. Hopefully it will boot off of that. And we won't have any conflicts. That's a good sign. Found the media. That is a good sign. Alright, so here is our OS 9 installer. We're going to do this first, and then I'll install the OS 901. Select destination disk. A valid destination volume cannot be found. Do we have a disk utility? Well, we got drive setup. Not initialized. Initialize disk. Initialize. Okay, everything there should be fine. We're going to click on start. And it is going to install, as you can see. That's how long it will take. So I'm not going to make you sit through all that process. I'm going to boot it and make sure that it works afterwards. And then we'll install the OS 904 update. Alright, so unfortunately my install did not quite work. The disk actually has a little bit of a scratch on it, so it bombed out. But I did actually get the installer to work, or the install to work, so I'm just installing a couple of the things that I think I'm going to need. And hopefully this is going to work. Alright, now let me try installing the update. Again, I assure you I read that license agreement carefully. Recommended installation. Let's see. Well, let's try it. Continue to automatically quit all other applications. Yes, I just almost knocked the camera out of my hands. Alright. We are good to go, as you can see. So we can close that. Close this. Eject our totally legitimate disk. And we can install software. Okay, and that is pretty much all that she wrote for this video. There's still some applications I need to install, but you don't really need to see that. So I'm going to conclude this. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off. I hope to see you next time. Till then.